1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's the same
Amazing. I got the same combination on my luggage.
Oh, my God.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station Comic Character of the Week, where we do a deep dive on one character and give you all the top covers, badass moments, must-read stories, and so much more. And I'm joined by my usual suspects in crime here. But first, starting with me, you can always find me on YouTube when I'm not here on Codex. Find me on YouTube under the corner, Sal's Comic Corner, that is, and also as under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Down below is Dan the Man Kelly Art.
There's
You can find him on Instagram under Dan Kelly Art. But Dan, tell us what you got going on.
Not a damn thing.
You got that 1K for DK. Come on.
Yeah, on Instagram, show that sweet Venom cover you just did.
Come on, show that sweet Venom cover. Come on, do it.
People can buy.
You have to put it away? Jeez.
Yeah, don't put it away. That deserves attention. Attention must be paid when you have talent to do a cover like that. Look at that.
Taxes are due.
That's right.
That's the one I finished today.
That looks great.
Looks great.
Yeah, thank you. It took me a long time. You think like, oh, this is all a bunch of black. That's going to be easy. It takes a while to color that all in because you got to get all the detail around the edges to make sure that you're not just coloring that in. So it does take a while.
That's right. That's awesome. Here at the Codex Station, we have our own artiste, and that is that man there, Dan Kelly. We got to get him to 1,000 followers on Instagram, 1K. Oh, I can play that game too, baby. I can play that Dan Kelly. There we go. Look at all of
there it is.
We can play the Dan Kelly game.
Dan is so versatile. He can do Transformers, Swamp Thing, Venom, Spider-Man, whatever you want.
He's a true Renaissance man. And we got to get him to 1,000. What do we got to do, Sal? We got to carry what?
We got to carry that big D across that line, man. We got to drag it. We got to drag that D. Come on.
That's right. Dan Kelly Art. Get yourself a one-of-a-kind. That sketch cover right there. That is the only variant Venom cover that Sal does not own, and Dan Kelly has it right there.
That's true.
That's right.
Is true.
So that's right. So if you want to outbid Sal for the only Venom cover he does not have, contact Dan.
That's right.
Dan's entertaining offers.
The OG Venom.
Yeah, he is.
Dan, why don't you talk about the guy next to you then? Come on.
Oh, he can wrestle. He can style. He can profile. Whether you like it, better learn to love it. He is making dreams come true. Or I say making dreams in limousines. He said it before. We'll say it again. He is the master of the Library of Comics, the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo! Thank you.
Can you run through that jungle? Can we run through that jungle?
Yes, right. Everybody wants to stroll.
That's invitation only, and unless you got red hair, your fingers ain't going anywhere near it.
That's right. And she's let me know, male or female, so she put the kibosh on that fella. Running through the jungle. Woo, baby.
Lord.
So I appreciate that, my man, Dan.
You're in the jungle now, baby.
That's right. And if you want to,
God, how the hell was Axl Rose ever a popular singer?
Hey, hell if I know. But if you want to see the jungle in person, you come to Comic Logic. You can see me at Comic Logic every Wednesday, getting my fix, getting that 4-color ink right in them blood lines. I told you before, when you inject that 4-color ink by reading it, it makes you strong, baby, because you're picking up one comic and turning pages. Then you're picking up a stack of comics. Then you're picking up a short box. Then you're picking up a long box. Then you got so many, you're stacking them here, stacking them there, you're stacking them there, you're stacking them to the damn ceiling. And next thing you know, you are packed and you are jacked, baby. Reading comic books makes you strong. Do some push-ups too.
Yeah, so, right where you're at. Just push-ups.
Do some push-ups. So you can catch me at Comic Logic, and you can also catch us doing a Facebook Live show out of Comic Logic the first 3 Thursdays of every month. We do the preview show the first Thursday, second, third Thursday are Ye Grumpy Old Nerds. We can see myself, principal owner Rob Kalin. And for those of you that saw the Sergeant Rock special, my very best friend in life, Mr. Mike Harbor, is also on that show. So
great episode, by the way.
That was a great episode.
That was a great episode.
That was very, patriotic episode, 80th anniversary of D-Day. If you haven't seen the Sergeant Rock episode, do yourself a favor and give it a salute because it deserves it. Also, at this time, we also like to give love to Comic Character of the Day. That is the Facebook site founded by our buddy Archduke Kevy. That is the reason that we are all acquainted. So for better or for worse, he's to blame. So if you like it, then you thank him. If you like what you're seeing, you thank him
And
for
send them
bringing us
flowers.
together. You're right. Send him flowers. If you don't, you just send him hate mail. If you don't like what happened, that's okay. But I think the majority of them, we are thankful for Archduke Kevy for bringing us together. Her name Opie Taylor. I put the comic character. I put the cover of the day out. Dan does the random panel of the day and the question of the day. Sal always is contributing and letting us know how much he enjoys our content, and he also posts content of his own. But Tim is the one that's ever vigilant, always watching, always seeing, eyes open, ears listening to make sure that we are giving you the quality that you deserve on that site. He is the ombudsman for Archduke Kevy on that site, making sure that we give you exactly what you deserve.
I make sure his cummerbund and his bow tie are on straight.
Make sure his cumber and his bund are correctly aligned. That's exactly right. So, and speaking of what you deserve on this channel is you deserve that man up there. Not only do you get to listen to that beautiful voice that emanates and fills the airwaves with that velvet fog of wonderment, you get to look at that visage. You get to look at that hair. My good buddy Chris told me he wants to brush his hair. That's how much luster is off that man. He is a true wonder. He is a vision, and he is a beautiful sound, all wrapped up in one glorious package. And he is all ours. He is Mr. Tim, the Terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction, as always. He's not done talking yet, though, ladies and gentlemen. We got something. We want to give it to you. Gary, what would that be?
Syphilis?
Oh,
maybe.
Maybe. I've said we're dripping with it. Okay, listen. Here's the Codex Station. All the hosts that you see, we have all the socials, and we would like nothing better than to give them to you.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Codex Station, your favorite social media platforms, and where we're live streaming right now. Please make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and or follow wherever you're watching us. It's honestly the greatest way that you can help a channel like this out. Gets us out there, pleases the YouTube algorithm gods, and lets other people just like you see this type of content all the time, every time. If you feel that a monetary support is something you want to do, super chats and memberships are open and available right now, right here on the Codex Station live on YouTube. You are more than welcome to do that. It is never expected, but it is always appreciated, ladies and gentlemen. And after that, after Dan has drawn a masterpiece yet again, you're going to ask him to do it on a t-shirt. But guess what? You can't, because you need to have the codexstation.com logo on everything that you wear. Head over there to the codexstation.com, get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, the codexstation.com for all your Codex needs.
He built it. This guy over here.
That's
Drawing
right.
on t-shirt.
No,
Yes.
Sal
Tip.
built it.
Oh, please, Tim.
Sal is the
Gary, you built that. Don't
I'm eventually
don't
going
be
to have
shy.
to look up what ombudsman means. There will be a picture of me right there, Pam. So just look here and
there you go.
memorize
But,
all of this. And
Tim,
now you know. Yes,
Tim,
I'm sorry.
Don't you have some interview coming up soon? Have an interview coming up soon?
We do. We have interview coming up live tomorrow night.
What? Live?
Live.
What time?
Absolutely. It will be at 8 p.m. We have two brothers that created a series called Ram God, and they also have a Kickstarter coming up soon.
I had a gal call me that once.
Whew, I've been called that once or twice myself. But it's going to be awesome, guys. Ram God is a new series that's coming out from Massive Publishing. You've seen a lot of reviews from Massive that we have done right here on the Codex Station, and even more are on their way. But the two creators of Ram God, the brothers, they will be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We will talk Ram God. We will talk Winds of Numasera, their Kickstarter that's coming up. July 9th is when it starts. And a ton of other stuff. So be prepared for that. It's going to be super awesome.
If you ever fantasize about seeing Tim with two brothers, tomorrow's your chance.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
There you go.
That's not a no.
I have my own brothers, and they are rambunctious. So there's that.
There you go.
All right then. It's all right. We're just gonna move on to the next segment here.
There you go.
Oh, Gary, you don't have a figure, an action figure for us to use.
I do not. This is
Oh my
2 weeks
gosh.
in a row.
Do we need
I
to?
know.
Do we need to phone in Sonny so he can like show us an action figure? Or?
No.
You know what? I could just take a bunch of pieces and create one from what Sonny has.
Yeah, and then say that's the White Queen. Yeah.
A Frankenfrost. A Frankenfrost I could create.
My lord.
I'm surprised you don't have a White Queen figure. She's got a few of them.
No White Queen figure. Last week I didn't have a Falcon, and then the streak broke on one of the independent characters we did. A Grimjack. I didn't have a Grimjack figure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fair. Those don't exist.
They do not exist. No, they do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I guess are we ready to dive into this character, or are we gonna do a little more pre-show?
I think
I'm
everybody
ready.
dive into
Let's
this
do it.
character.
I'm
All
ready
right,
to dive
let's-
into her.
Let's dive into this character.
Except that one picture you showed, I am not diving into that.
Yeah,
My lord.
we don't need to talk about that one picture. We're just gonna go ahead and go
I-
right
I-
into
yeah,
the
yeah.
Anybody pick that
Now,
cover?
Because that's one of the ones in the books he gave me, and I took a picture. I was like, "This is the cover I was talking about." He's like, "Yeah," and then I took another close-up picture of that part, and he's like, "Yeah, I get it." And then I zoomed in on it, even so it was like,
Like
he's
you did with the
"Yeah, I
camera."
get it. Remember to stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The White-
yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
The White Queen was
horrific.
showing you her bishop.
Yeah, yeah, she was.
Yeah,
It was pretty.
yeah.
It was horrific and traumatizing. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
based on that cover, apparently Frank Wheatley thought that the White Queen was the White King.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right.
Ah,
I wonder if that bishop moves just diagonally.
List a little bit to the left.
left.
Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We will be back in 45 seconds. Dan, I'm
Okay.
going to do UFOs for you tonight, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
are you doing the buttons for it?
UFOs,
Then?
yes.
Yeah, I'll take care of that tonight.
You got it.
You drive. I will play with the radio.
Sal's code red. Look at him.
Oh,
Code red,
there we
baby.
go. We'll be
Like
back in
Mountain Dew.
45 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around.
Oh, I like the
What's up?
action shot. The
There you
thigh
go.
action. That was great.
That was pretty good. What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Yep,
Welcome back
that's
to the
pretty
Codex
clever.
Stations Comic Character Week. Thank you, Uncle Gary. I appreciate that.
I like
love
that.
making
Yes.
those intros. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I am your host tonight, Silent Slab Guy. I'm joined with my usual partners in crime, Dan the Man Kelly, the Ric Flair of comics, and of course, Tim, the not so terrible, but sometimes terrible, Tim the Terrible.
There you go.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing
Doing all
good.
right.
All right, so as you can tell from the intro, we are going to dive into everything about the White Queen tonight. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the intro and give us all the information you got?
All right. Well, her first appearance was in January 1980 in Uncanny X-Men 129. She was created by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Do you guys all know what the other significant parts of that issue were?
Was it not Kitty Pryde's first
Kitty
appearance?
Pryde.
too?
Yep.
First appearance of Kitty Pryde. Do you know what else?
No.
Hellfire Club.
It
Hellfire
was
Club,
the
yeah.
it was the first cameo of the Hellfire Club,
Yep.
and one other thing.
Wow.
Wow.
Prototype of Lockheed.
It was the first part of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Ooh.
Okay, all right.
So there's a lot going on in that issue. You might,
There is.
fairly important X-Men issue. So,
One
White
might say
Queen,
a key.
what'd you say?
One might say a key.
Yeah. So, White Queen, Emma Frost was born to a wealthy family in Boston. She was the third of four children. And
Go back to the champagne room and do the show, Sal.
Nope.
her father was very cold and imposed a very high standard on her and all of her siblings, and that they really had a hard time meeting. And her mother, to deal with this, was addicted to prescription drugs. She was bullied in school. She didn't really have any friends. She did have the support of one teacher, a guy named Ian Kendall. When her telepathic powers first appeared, she found she was able to read people's minds, so she was able to, gain a bunch of knowledge that way, get a bunch of information. So Ian suggested that she become a teacher because she was also helping tutor some students. But her father refused because, they were a rich, wealthy family. He felt that was beneath them. One day, her car broke down, so he gave her a ride home from school. She used her telepathic powers and read his mind and saw that he thought that she was intelligent and that she was beautiful. So she kissed him, and one of her sisters recorded that, and then her father used that to get him fired from his job. And then so in retaliation, she used her powers to get information, and she started blackmailing her father.
Wow.
And as you could guess, he was pissed, but he was also impressed at what she was able to do, and he offered her the family fortune. She told him to kick rocks. She would she would make her own way. So she left. She let's skip some stuff. She got a little bit of money.
Forward.
What'd you say?
I said prepare to fast forward.
Yeah, pretty much. Fast forward. Got a little bit of money. Went to college. Went to Empire University. And eventually found her way to the Hellfire Club as a dancer. And she used her powers and discovered that some of the men that were in charge there were working to destroy all mutants in the world. So she teamed up with a couple other people like Sebastian Shaw and Henry Leland, and removed and in some cases killed the men that were in charge, and they took over the Hellfire Club as the new Inner Circle. As for her powers, like I said, she has, she's an Omega class telepath. So she has everything that goes with that. She can read minds, she can control people, all that. She could also, through her secondary mutation, could turn her body into organic diamond, kind of like the way the Colossus does, turns his body into organic steel. In her diamond state, she also has superhuman strength, and like Colossus, it doesn't need to breathe, doesn't need to eat, all that. But when she is in her diamond form, she cannot use her psychic powers.
Interesting.
Right. Very cool.
But she is also in her diamond form, then immune to psychic attacks.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Dan, for that. Appreciate
Good job.
So on to our next segment, which is what scenarios work best. Uncle Gary, why don't you go ahead and kick us off for that, and we'll go around the horn.
Well, when I first really started to be intrigued by the characters when she was the headmistress of the Hellions at the school that she had in, what was the name of her school? Blanking for a minute. Massachusetts
Academy. Yep.
I thought she was quite an interesting character there, and then I really like how she morphed, years later, how she's, pretty important leader in the X-Men. So I like her best when she is in a role of authority, and that even though she has questionable means that, sometimes don't always justify the mean, or the ends don't always justify the means. I like her as that character that has a very shady moral compass. That she is not above killing. She is not above poisoning somebody with thoughts and just leaving them that way. So she is very much a gal that believes in payback, and she's not afraid. She's not afraid to will it. But I like I like that side of her that's not afraid to get her hands dirty. And I like her when she is in a leadership position, whether it is running a school of mutants or whether it is as one of the leaders of the X-Men in a position of power, or sitting on the quiet council like she has been in the more recent X-Men stuff. So I like her where she's a kind of a, she's a power player that's kind of devious, and you're not always sure exactly what side of the fence she's on. So I like that intrigue and that mystery with her, and not quite knowing whether you can really trust her or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. Yep. All right, Tim, how about you?
Gary, I am going to agree with you to a point. I like that she is a leader. I like that she is independent, but I like it more when she is a playful, manipulative seductress. I enjoy that aspect of her
I do
very,
too.
very much. Yeah. I
She is a vixen.
110%, and she is not afraid to use anything and anybody to achieve the end result of what she wants, including ruining marriages. Yeah, I don't think she works wonderful as a villain, right? But I think she works a lot better as kind of playing the middle ground, because she, like you said, Gary, you don't know exactly where she stands, and she uses that to her advantage. And she can either go one way with Mr. Sinister, or she can go the other way with Tony Stark.
Yep.
And you just don't know. And even if she does choose to go with the likes of Stark or Summers or anything like that, you're still kind of leery. You're still unsure. The amount of trust is not complete, and she enjoys that aspect of things, and I enjoy that from her as a character.
I mean, you don't know how long it's going to last.
Exactly. Until she's had her fun, until she's done.
Exactly.
Or she's obtained what she needs to get at.
Yep. If she's bored,
tossed
look
on the
out.
scrap heap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm going to agree with both of you guys on that point, that she is that moral compass is not straight north. It does deviate a little bit, but she is not afraid of using everything and anything in her assets to obtain her goal,
Including her
ass. And there was one line where Kitty Pryde was like, this is young and naive Kitty Pryde. She was upset. She was like, "Don't you feel weird wearing like next to no clothes?" Or something along the lines of that. And she was like, "No." She's like, "I'm wearing this, and they look at me, and it cheapens them, not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this because it obtains my goal. I don't care what they do. That cheapens them." So that type of attitude is very, very high confident about herself, and I do like that about her character. And I think during the Josh Whedon run of Astonishing X-Men, she's a bitch with an attitude, but she does have a heart of gold most of the time. So that kind of sums her up for me, and that's what I really like. I do like her in a leader position, whether it's on the field, on the council, running the school. It doesn't really matter. And anybody that tries to oppose her or counter her leadership, she puts down in a heartbeat. Says, "You're wrong. You're out." That type of thing. Gets rid of you type of thing. To get you out of the way. Anything that's going to threaten her, she gets it out of her way. That type of thing. So that's what I like best. How about you, Dan?
I like two things. I like when she is treating everyone around her like they are beneath her, like she's just better than them, because that's how she, that's how she views it. Even though she does still have, some feelings of inadequacy. There's one line where, well after Jean's dead, and her and Cyclops are an item, and Wolverine comes in and kind of says something to goad Cyclops, and they get in a fight, and she's staring out the window watching them fight, and she's like, "You're the best body money can buy, and I still rank second to a pile of bones," or something.
Yeah, to dead woman.
But where she, the way she talks to people like they're all beneath her, I always think that's interesting. And the way that she looks out for her students, above everything, because that's something that I feel like even when she was a villain, and even what years before she became a good guy, before she became an X-Man, she was always someone that looked out for her students' best interests, and tried to do right by them. And just the fact that she was someone that had students and was a teacher, as opposed to so many other villains that were out there. And she would occasionally do stuff to help out others too. So I think we've seen over the years with the Hellions and the New Mutants, and all the students that were on Genosha, and just over and over again out of the years that she that she prioritizes them above all others.
I think that's where her best nature is. When she's doing that, you get her at her purest as far as her heart.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, so let's jump into badass moments, and I will go first on this one because I got some pretty good badass moments here. Uncanny X-Men Volume 2, Number 3. This is when they're battling the Sinister Clones, and she is in Diamond form, and she actually gets her arm blasted off. Okay, so she's in the frame. She's missing the arm from about right here down, and she's in Diamond form to fight, but she doesn't bleed, so she's okay. But she actually has to fight Sinister telepathically, so she changes back to human and still bleeding and feeling the pain of the process. She could still, so she could attack him psychically, or telepathically. So she did that, and there is a funny moment with that too, because in the scene, in that panel where she has no arm, she goes, she yells over to Namor and says, "Hold my hand." Like grab my arm or hold my hand, and he's like, "Oh, finally!" And she's like, "Not romantically, you buffoon." And he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, fine." So for my next badass moment comes from what's this one? It's X-Men 314, and she's just got the she's comatose after attack from Trevor Fitzroy, and her Hellions are left dead, and her mind wakes up before her body does, and she seizes control of Iceman, and starts to escape the mansion and trying to find her Hellions, and she manipulates Iceman's powers in ways that he could never imagine, and this is what kind of like brought Iceman up to the Omega level, I think, classification, because he didn't realize how powerful he could become until she took him over and showed him what he could do. So that was just a pretty badass moment until and then of course the X-Men catch up with her, talk her down, and she releases control in it. And I think that is also a pivotal point in one of her characters to become more on the side of the good, angels, you might say, than being the Hellfire Manipulative Club type of person. And then my last one I got is from New X-Men, issue number 118. She neutralizes a group of anti-mutant protesters outside the mansion by giving them all orgasms. No lie. And Jean's like yelling at her, like, "Emma." And she's like, I pushed their bliss buttons, Jean. They'll wake up utterly ashamed of themselves. Don't say another word. And like, it was just walking away.
Oh my God. That's perfect.
That's a badass moment right there.
Oh man.
Talk about multiple orgasms.
That's it. Indeed.
I just
all right,
hit
Tim.
their bliss buttons, sweetheart.
Just hit their bliss buttons.
All right.
Everything be fine.
Oh my Lord.
All right, Tim, why don't you go next and tell us what you got?
So I've only got one major one. First off,
fine.
let's talk about the live screen performance. Even though there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue, you got to see a whole lot of Emma.
Man,
and she did the actress, I can't remember her name. If you know it in the chat, throw it up. She did an exceptional job making Emma's appearance very commanding.
Is that January Jones?
January Jones. That's
there we go. Yeah, she was perfect. She did a great job. She did wonderful. That was badass in itself. We got to see her. She was a minor character, but it was still awesome. Now, in the comic books, the only one that came to mind was during Civil War. and I think it's in issue 1, where Tony Stark goes to the X-Mansion, and this is when the X-Mansion is
always been on my list, yeah.
surrounded by Sentinels. It's kind of like this refugee no state kind of thing, and Tony is sitting there trying to convince her to have the X-Men side with the Registration Act, and she lets him have it in no uncertain terms, and she's like, how dare you come here and ask us to be a part of this? Where were you when Genosha was destroyed? Where were you when the mutant massacre took place? Where were you when we needed the Avengers, when we needed humans? And they refused to help us. You want us to help you fight other heroes because of some silly little rules and laws, when you have us here forced to live on this refugee area? In no uncertain terms, she told him to eat shit. And I loved every minute of that. That was one of the most powerful scenes I had ever seen her in. It was amazing.
Tim, in the current issue of Iron Man right now, in a different way, she's also letting him have it.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
And
Yeah.
twice on Sunday.
Oh, hey. Hey-oh. There
Well,
you
they
go.
are married. They are.
Yeah,
married.
they are.
Give me 2 Hail Marys and our
But I
fathers.
think Tony Stark likes the second version much better than the one you described.
Quite possibly, but
Yeah, I'm pretty
but
sure.
that was one of my favorite parts of Civil War when that
So
event
did she also like psychically
she
make him
showed
feel
him everything.
yeah, like make him feel the purge of Genosha?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
It was
Yeah,
great.
it's like, you want my help now? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now
yeah.
you want my help? Yeah.
She-
Where were
she-
you when I needed it?
She told him in no uncertain terms to turn around and go back the other way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
She's
All right.
like,
Uncle
we'll
Gary.
stay neutral, but that's it.
Yep. Uncle Gary, what do you got?
Well, one is as a badass moment is when she turns around, because that's a badass. But I digress.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed. In let's see, in X-Men Black, Emma Frost, she's going up to confront Shaw, and she gets to the 50th floor, and she's done a whole lot of tricks to mess with a lot of the other people, but there's 2 guards, and she just says window, and these dudes are on the 50th floor, and they jump through the glass on the 50th floor.
Wow.
All she says is window. Boom.
Yeah.
I can't remember what issue this was from, but I think it was during their San Francisco days when they were, in that area on the island there. There was a councilman or something that was not, not getting with the program, and she threatened him by saying that she would make him sexually obsessed with Leroy Neiman paintings.
Wow.
And I just thought, wow, that's a whole nother level of perversion there.
Oh my God.
Sexually obsessed with Leroy Neiman paintings. Wow. That's rough. On a much darker note is that she killed her own sister,
Oh.
and killed her sister Adrian, and she killed her. And the thing is, at the beginning there were some regrets, but after a time of reflection, she had no regrets, and she decided that she should have done it sooner.
Wow.
That's pretty hardcore.
What issue was that in? Do you remember?
It was Generation X 70.
Yeah, there you go.
But they showed it. It happened off panel though.
Yeah, it happened off panel. She shot her. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was in the same issue, but she was dealing with little regrets on that. But Adrian had always worked against her whole life, but the guilt went fairly quickly, and she, like I said, she not only decided she was good with it, but that she should have done it sooner.
Wow,
man, you talk about an ice queen. That's pretty
rough.
Cool.
Yeah,
that is rough.
From now on, I'm going to refer to the pretty girls as slabs. There's some nice slabs on the corner today. Oh my God.
Well,
that's right.
And Sal's got slabs on the corner, so be careful.
That's right.
He's
All right.
trafficking. He's trafficking slabs on the corner. Be careful.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. So, first one's not free. All right, as we wait for Dan to come around here. There we go, Dan. Are you ready for your badass moments?
Yeah, well, one of them I had was the Iceman one that you said. So,
Yeah.
Sorry.
another one I had is from New Mutants issue 40. This was still when she was, fully on the bad guy side. She was at the Massachusetts Academy running the Hellions, and it was right after the New Mutants had come back to life.
Slab traffic.
Slab trafficker.
They had been killed in Secret Wars 2 by the Beyonder, kind of like one by one, and then they were all brought back. But they all had this kind of just generals. They were just lost. Like, they weren't really fully there. So Magneto, she offered Magneto, like, you send them to my school and I'll help them, do my best to help them recover. She's like, I'm not going to recruit them to the Hellions. They can just be, but they need help and it's nothing that you can do. And he did it, and she helped them, recover and be able to come back to being who they were. So I thought that was pretty badass because she's reaching out to her enemies, because she could feel how much pain they're in. And it's, and it's just because, the New Mutants, they're kids.
Yeah.
So, and again, it goes back to, how much she watches out for the students.
That's her best. That's her at her best.
Yeah,
it's her at her best.
I agree.
Then the other one I have is not a major one, but I thought it was pretty cool. And it kind of goes along with the Iceman thing, how she, he didn't fully realize the extent of his powers until she went in and showed him. It's from X-Men issue 36.
Yeah.
It was, she links, it was right after they introduced the character Sync during the Phalanx Covenant, and she links Jubilee's mind and his mind together so that Sync can use her powers to destroy this Phalanx that's coming after him. But he unleashes powers, way more powerful than Jubilee ever did. And it goes again to, like with Iceman, that she's kind of able to go in and fully unlock these powers. And that's something that we've heard for years with Jubilee, is how powerful she is, but that she never really uses her powers fully. And, that's just another instance of showing, one of the first instances of showing that, how powerful she could actually be if she really cut loose.
Yep.
Right
That
on.
was awesome. Yeah, very good. Very good. All right, so let's move on to our next segment, and that's going to be our critiques and criticisms. Tim, why don't you go first on this one? What don't you like about the character?
Well, what I don't like, I can't blame it on the writers this time, because I mean, like, whenever she's written, with whatever position she takes, I think that they do a relatively good job. Most people have. As far as anything I don't like, maybe when she's too vulnerable, right? And I know she needs to be sometimes, and that's more of a minor pick than anything else. Like in the one issue, what is it? New X-Men 139, I believe it was, Murder in the Mansion, part 1. Yeah, where her and Jean were going at it. They use a lot of her vulnerability there, and maybe I can blame this on the writer, because I'm not a big fan of Grant Morrison's X-Men stuff. But I think that, like, when they dive too deep into making her vulnerable, I think she's too strong. I think she's too independent to dive into that and be the type of character that breaks down. She doesn't seem like that to me, and I've only seen that a few times. So if anything, I think that's what I would choose.
Okay. All right. Very good. Uncle Gary, what's you?
There's not a lot to pick there. I guess sometimes with her relationship with Scott, I guess just for such a ice queen that she is, I guess sometimes I find it straining credulity to think that she's that head over heels in love with Scott. That, and she has been. They've had it where it's broken her heart and this and that. And I just, I guess I'd rather view her as just a icy icy chick that loves the company of men, but
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily need the company of men.
Yep.
Despite decades of reading comics, I'm pretty stupid on X-Men characters. Don't feel bad, Bougie. A lot of us
That's all
are.
right.
Oh,
That's all right.
absolutely.
That's why we're here.
No problem.
That's why we're here. Hey, look, we've been reading them for years, and we can't remember half the stuff we read. So there
That's
you
right.
go. There you go. So yeah, I like her. Yeah, I don't like her where she's quite so dependent, especially on Scott, and so head over heels with him. I just, like I said, I see her more as the, she's the one running the relationship. She's not the one that gets the broken heart. She's the one that breaks heart and is a user.
Yeah.
And she'll use you as long as she's enjoying you.
Yeah.
Until like her goal is obtained, and then you throw it on a scrap heap.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've enjoyed the relationship she has with Tony Stark right now, where she has warmed up to him, and they were playing a subterfuge.
We try.
Game. Hey, that's what we're trying to do. They're doing, and we do our best, but they're playing a subterfuge game on having them married like that. But it got to the point where she really did respect Stark and had some affection for Stark, and they actually were intimate and consummated the marriage, and that seemed true to me. But she's not head over heels with Stark. It's just it was time, and she appreciated what she was doing, and they kind of sealed the relationship with a little bit of intimacy. But I still like having a little bit of distance, emotional distance between her and her, the men in her life.
Okay. Okay, Dan, how about you? What you got?
I don't really have any criticism of the character. I like, the evolution, the character development that she's had over the years, especially as they've kind of dived into her backstory some and shown, how she got to be who she is. Even as far as the relationship with Scott, I know a lot of people didn't like it.
Don't worry, Bougie. I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I didn't know half the stuff about Emma. Always cool to learn new things. Absolutely. And like Gary said, that's the whole reason for this show.
Absolutely.
But, I didn't mind the relationship with Scott because, it kind of started off as, like you said, can be manipulative, and it seemed like it kind of started off in that way, and, to kind of screw with Jean and that. And then as it, and then as the relationship, progressed, because it was all just, a mental thing, that really, I don't think she intended to actually have feelings for him, but then she did develop feelings for him, and then she developed strong feelings for him. And, I kind of like that it makes her that she's not as much the one in control of that relationship as she is with others, because you see that in real life sometimes, somebody that's true. In complete control of everything, and then it's that one thing, and you're like, and it's inexplicable why they're not in control with one relationship like they are with every other one. And it's, but for some reason they are. So, to me, that made the relationship between the two of them even more real and even more believable.
Yeah.
I think I would feel that way more if it wasn't with Scott, because I feel, if it was somebody with like Wolverine or somebody that had more of a, a presence.
But see, that's why I like it with, the way they did it with Scott, because if they did that same type of relationship and the same, dynamics of it with someone like Wolverine or Gambit, it would almost be too obvious. The fact that it's with Cyclops, I found it to be a bit more interesting.
All right. So I'm going to pretty much echo what you guys have said.
Oh, you'll get it.
There's not too much. There's not too much I can really critique this character. I feel like I've been jaded so much by seeing her being manipulative that whenever she is in a relationship, I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yep.
Like, okay, what is she after now?
As we all are.
She doesn't love this guy. What's going on? I mean, come on. Where's the knife going to come out and stick you in the back? That's what I'm waiting for, and it's not happening.
When Emma and Tony got together, what did we say collectively? We're like, well, okay, that's interesting. Why are they doing that?
Yep.
Well, that was part of fighting the war. That was part of the subterfuge of fighting Orcus.
Orcus, yeah. Right. So yeah, there's not too much else I don't like about the character. I mean, she's written pretty well. If she's written as a baddie or written as a person
Mhm.
turning good, that has all been very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done. It's just I'm so used to the manipulative version of her that every time she's looking out for someone or being some type of act of kindness or got a heart of gold, I'm always thinking in the back of my head, okay, she's got something she's looking for.
And we all fall into
you
the
know?
trap that is
Yep.
the White
Mhm.
Queen.
Yeah, we do. So
One of the few characters in comic books that I think is able to pull that off.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. All right, but so before we move on to our next segment, we're going to talk about sponsors.
Ooh,
Tim,
I like
what
it.
do we got? That's not a white queen, but it could be possibly a nice redhead.
So, ladies and
love a good
gentlemen,
redhead.
you have heard
Yeah, you're
me
biased
talk
there,
about
Gary.
this before. Ladies and gentlemen, Nirvana Comics, my local comic shop, my exclusive comic shop, has given us yet another of their store variant covers to give away to you. You guys know what it is, but for those of you that are new, take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great cover.
Scarlet #1. This, like I said, is a Nirvana exclusive. These are limited to between 250 and 500 copies, so they're exceptionally limited to get, and you have a chance to get that. We've already got several names on the list so far, and if your name isn't on there, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. First, what you have to do is make sure that you are subscribed right here to the Codex Station. Go ahead and do that right now. Take you just a second. We see all the new people that are watching this. You've made it this far. Now you have the opportunity to win a comic book, and an exclusive one at that. Hit like, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel right here, the Codex Station. Second, what you have to do is in the comments, if you're watching this when it's not live, or if you're live with us right now and you haven't entered in yet, make sure to type in hashtag giveaway in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Dan will throw it up on the screen. We'll get it written down. We'll make sure that your name is added to the list to win Scarlet #1. We're going to take this through the rest of the month, and then the first live show that we do in the beginning of July, we will announce the winner, and it will get sent right out to you. Pam, who's in the chat right now, won our Dick Tracy #1 contest. Pam, we love that you take the D so well. And yeah, you guys, you need to do it. Hashtag giveaway.
Enthusiastic.
There you go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she was excited for it.
Yes.
Very
There you
good.
go,
Very
ladies
good.
and gentlemen. Hashtag giveaway. Make sure you subscribe to Codex. Pam, we love you. You know that.
Long time. We love you long time.
Long time. long time. We're going to give you all the socials while we're at it, too.
Oh, there we go.
Whether you want them or not.
That's right. All right, for our
Pam's
next segment.
done. She's out. She's gone. She ran.
She's done. She's like,
You hit the road.
please, we're done here. All right, our next segment is top covers. And Dan, I want you to go. What?
Before we do that,
Uh-oh. What we
Jamie
got?
wouldn't
Sorry.
let me. Jamie wouldn't let me choose this as a top cover. He said covers only.
No, there's Pam.
Can't wait to
All
get
right,
it.
Dan,
Thanks,
she hasn't
guys.
left yet.
Right on.
Pam's still with us.
I
Yes.
wanted to show this because it's gorgeous artwork on its own, and yeah, I'll let it speak for itself.
The
There you go.
Oh
card.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't they? But they were doing taking some of those and making covers out of them, weren't they?
They
I
did,
don't know
and
if
I
they
think
did White Queen as a cover, and if
I
they
don't know if they
did,
did
I don't
that.
know what issue it was.
That's a nice curve on there.
Beautiful card artwork, and I just wanted to showcase that before we went into covers.
All
Dangerous
right, very good.
curves.
That was
Thank you very much for that.
that Jim Lee set was fantastic.
So
Yeah.
good.
That's
And there were some characters in there that, I mean, even though he was the X-Men artist at the time, like there's characters in there that the only time he really drew them was in that set.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Her, Cannonball, Deadpool, a bunch of characters.
Yep.
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 All right, very
All
good. All right, Dan, kick us off with your top covers.
All right. Well, all the way on the left, we've got New Warriors #10. Yes, Tim, that is Bagley art.
That was on my short list, but I knew someone else was going to choose it, Dan, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I picked. I'm a huge New Warriors fan. I like Bagley, and you know, I figured everyone's going to pick a bunch of the X-Men covers. So it was, it's a cool cover, and it's,
Yeah.
outside of the normal stuff she was in.
Right. It's good stuff.
I love it.
All the way on the right is the variant cover for Inferno issue 3. And I like that just because, you guys know I'm a sucker for when they do these covers that have, that show like all the different costumes that that a character has had over their existence. So, I like that one. I like seeing some of the looks, and especially for some of these characters, you could see, even though they've had all these different looks, you could see how similar that they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then the middle one, the variant for Sins of Sinister #1.
This is perfect.
Would be shocked if I'm the only one that has this on there.
You're
Take
not.
note, ladies and gentlemen. Take
You're
note,
not.
ladies and gentlemen.
This is my favorite one. This one is just fantastic. She looks great in it. The artwork looks great in it. I didn't pick this up when it came out because I wasn't reading that book. I left X-Men for a while because I didn't like the whole Krakoa H thing. I wish I had picked this copy up just because of how good the cover is. But yeah, that's the top White Queen cover for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have that cover. It is fantastic.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing that 3 other times.
We might be. We just might be. All right. Well, Uncle Gary, show us yours.
Different costume thing is a cool idea for cover. Absolutely.
All right.
Sometimes there's some of them that are just kind of boring, but the White Queen one I dug. The Wasp one was the best of all of them, though.
Yeah, I did like the Wasp one. That was good.
All right, well, let's start in the center then and take up where Dan left off there. That is a beautiful Art Germ cover, Sins of Sinister 1, cover B. That is just fantastic from top to bottom, from head to toe, and is just beautiful, gorgeous. That is a pinup artist supreme that did that.
Yeah.
Yep, indeed.
So I also debated between the New Warriors cover that Dan showed and this one, the New Mutants cover. I like that with her holding up the Hellions, and that's Art Adams and Sienkiewicz that did that cover for New Mutants 39 there. I just like it, and that's her in her, her days as the headmistress of Massachusetts Academy.
She looks so evil in that.
Oh,
picture.
absolutely.
I considered that cover, but for me, like her face just kind of throws it off there. How like her face is all in shadow, but nothing else is.
Well, I agree, but I just liked it.
No, it's a cool cover. It's a great pose where she's got all the New Mutants there in the Hellion costumes.
I just thought it made her look more evil.
Yeah.
So that's what I think they were going with, and that's what I dug there. So just having her, I don't think it would have been as powerful just having her, her gorgeous face there. That way she looks like the Hellion, like the New Mutants in their Hellions outfit might be in a little bit of trouble there. So she's a little malevolent. And
the
one
kind of have a Voldemort thing going there when you're like, where's her nose?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Got your nose.
That predated Voldemort, I'm pretty sure.
So,
It did.
Yep.
Quite a few years.
All right, on the far right, man, I love this cover. I do. That is Greg Horn, Emma Frost, #6, and pretty much all the covers he did with her were pretty spectacular.
Oh yeah.
But I love this because it's it's a lot more. It's a close up on her face, and I just think that it's just gorgeous. Her touching the glass, and her being I guess out in the rain and just fantastic. Let her in. Let her in. But I just love that that picture of her, with the with her hand on the glass and her wearing the sleeve that goes between her thumb and her forefinger, just the with part of her sleeve there. Just the whole look of her face on that is just stunning. So that for me, Greg Horn, I love that cover. Good job, buddy.
So the face wasn't the first thing that drew my attention.
Well, on that one, listen, the face does draw my. Hey, I like cleavage
Joe.
too, brother. I love cleavage too, but on that one, the face did draw my attention first because it's the focal point of that piece where she's looking at you, and when you don't look her in the eye, that's pretty good too.
So true.
Yep.
All right, Tim, let's see your covers.
You got it. So let's go ahead and stick right with the
Oh,
center.
there we go.
There
There
we
it is.
So the center one, that
Look, the
is,
center fold on every one. The
you
center
better
fold.
believe it.
The double Art Adams here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to because I couldn't put up the Jim Lee card. Jamie said no, so
Mhm.
I had to pick something. But that center one, once again, Art Germ, one of my favorite cover artists, and this I think is some of his best work, if not his best work. This is gorgeous. This is seductive. This is a little bit naughty, and if you go anywhere near it, you may have fun, but only for a little bit. And I love it. It says a lot. Over on the left, the New Mutants 39 cover. Arthur Adams right there. Gary, I dug the shit out of this cover.
Me
I thought
too.
the cover was really great. This is Art Adams at his peak in the 80s. And I really enjoyed the aspect of her face looking like that. But Dan, I do agree with you that it's kind of off-putting, but in a mischievous way, I guess.
I also like the.
I mean, I don't know if off-putting is the right word. It just seemed weird that like her face is covered in shadow, but nothing else on the cover is. It just seemed a little out of place.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of shadow in her cape.
Oh yeah.
So I'm okay with that, and I like how Hellions is written over New Mutants.
Yes.
Yeah, I do like that.
But that cover all the way over on the end, that Arthur Adams variant cover, I dig that because that's Art Adams' work now. And she just looks as gorgeous as ever. The classic costume that you see Art Germ put her in and that she's in over there on the New Mutants cover, that just looks absolutely fantastic. She is front and center. She is poised and ready to move.
She rocks a corset, doesn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% she does.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and let me wrap up the top cover segment.
What?
Look at
Oh,
that.
what do you know?
Clean sweep.
I'm not going to say any more about that Sins of Sinister, but I've got that book slabbed at a 9.8, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
And it's amazing. I had it up there for a while. I just took it down to put something else. I put up the Goblin Queen in her place and Phoenix in her place. So anyhow, all right, moving on. So let's go ahead and check out the X-Men Black Emma Frost. That was X-Men Black #1. Cover artist was J. Scott Campbell. He does amazing work. I love J. Scott Campbell stuff. But one of the things that really got me on this one is the number card first it's covering up the boobs, but do you recognize the number on there?
It's the year.
First appearance and the
First appearance, 1980
when it came out.
Yep.
Month and year. I love that. I love that little reference there.
She's taller than I thought she was.
Yeah, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a tall blonde, you know.
No, I got a tall redhead. I love him tall.
Yeah.
So I did like that. J. Scott Campbell, I think draws really well. He draws length, I guess. So it makes him lengthy, but it's still.
Well, that one's not J. Scott Campbell.
Is it not? X-Men Boy, I thought it was. Cover artist,
No,
J. Scott Campbell.
J. Scott Campbell did the A cover. That one's Salvador LaRocca.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that. I got J. Scott Campbell in my notes.
And LaRocca's the
A
one
cover.
I did on the cover of the day. The cover of the day one I did today was was LaRocca. So he does great work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. My mistake then. I appreciate the correction. So let's jump over to X-Men number 131. This is, of course, her first appearance. I like this because first you got the cape billowing out. She's the largest character on the screen. Gives you the feeling that she's in control of the situation. You see the looks like what the X-Men are in the jail cells.
Yeah.
Then you got X-Men down below fighting the not the Hellions, but the Hellfire Club.
I haven't
Hellfire
either,
Club
Joe.
there.
That's new to me.
Yep.
Classic.
Yeah,
John
the crazy eyes,
Crazy
fam.
Eyes.
I'm with you,
Yep.
fam.
I was gonna say,
those are
got that crazy eyes.
those are Fatal Attraction eyes.
Yeah.
The one at the end, because it looks like an Emma Frost sex doll, a high-end one you get from Japan. Shipping is too much.
That was
Wow.
for your covers, Tim.
Oh, right on.
So, Joe, that's a lot of specific information.
Yeah, Joe. That's a lot of specific information.
That's a lot of specific information.
Did you have
and
a
Bougie was
roommate that
agreeing with you
did that?
guys about the New Mutants cover too.
Face in the shadow and the wide grin is sinister looking. There you go.
Yep. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
it is. Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
But Sal coming in clutch with the classics.
Yep, coming in clutch with the classic. Had to do it. It's just a really good cover to me because I feel like she's overshadowing everything else in that on that cover, and
Yeah,
that's what I really appreciate about that.
right
All
on.
right. All right,
Good
so moving on
stuff.
to our next
I can share
segment.
with you guys we're buds. Wow.
Hit us up in DMs, Joe.
You-
We'll,
you know,
we'll talk
There's
business.
not enough bleach in the world to make that happen.
You know, that is a very generous offer. I don't think we've ever had that offer. So
I don't
there you
think
go.
so.
Yeah.
There's a first for everything right here on Codex, ladies and gentlemen.
So Sal, that 131, do you have that one slabbed?
I do not actually. That 131 is not the best condition, so maybe eventually I'll find one that's slabbable and do
I
that.
had a buddy of mine years ago when he came to visit me in Knoxville. My buddy Jason, we went to a shop that was closing down in downtown, and he found a nice copy of First Emma for a couple of dollars.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I
awesome.
have her first appearance, but that 131's her first cover appearance. I thought I had it because when I was pulling books out to put up on the spinner rack here, I was like, oh, I got that one. I was going through. I was like, I don't have that one. I could have sworn that I did.
Wow.
excuse me.
You're
All right,
excused,
so for our next segment of the night is essential readings, ladies and gentlemen. And Uncle Gary, why don't you kick us off with your essential readings?
With my essential readings. Well, let's see what I picked.
Essential.
Did you say sensual readings?
What?
I did say essential readings.
Sensual readings? Okay, well, in
I
that
did.
case,
Come on.
Sensual
Because
readings.
because I know you will
sensual
come through it.
readings.
Essential.
Essential. I think we got to start out. I think everyone needs to get a flavor of the X-Men 129 through 131. Even though it is, it's the first 3 issues of the Dark Phoenix saga, you need to finish the whole thing. But just those 3 issues are what you need to get your, dip your toes into the Emma Frost character. And that's it right there. So if you want to dip your toes in the pool of Emma Frost, it's right there. So 129 to 131. And that's her when she's just a total baddie.
Yeah.
Emma Frost 1 through 18. That's her solo series. That's the entirety of the run. If you really like the character, you want to get all the backstory with the family and everything else, and when she was in school, and the things that shaped her into becoming the woman that she would be. There you go, right there. Emma Frost 1 through 18. And I think my favorite run of stories with her is the Astonishing X-Men run, and the first arc 1 through 6, Gifted. It was by Josh Whedon and John Cassidy. I really loved how she acted, how she was a leader on the team, how she was a badass, and I loved Cassidy's portrayal of her and how he drew her. Yeah. So I really I'm with you, Joe. I mean that's a, like I said, that's a deep dive into Emma. Just Emma. It's her solo series. And so, I think that's a good way to get in, to get the backstory of the character. But Astonishing X-Men 1 through 6, I think is, that portrayal of Emma and Astonishing X-Men, I think is my very favorite.
And that picture of hers from Uncanny X-Men Volume 2, Annual Number 2, I believe.
Is that Dotson? Because that's pretty.
I think so.
Picture.
I'll look it up. But I'm pretty confident.
Dotson was drawing the Uncanny X-Men series at the time, so it might be.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident.
Okay. All right, Dan, let's see your sensual readings.
Dan,
sensual.
There you Dan sensual readings.
All right, so I'm going to start off with Generation Next. This was part of the Phalanx Covenant.
Cover artist for that picture is Yannick Paquette.
Oh, it's Paquette. Wow.
Yeah, Paquette. There you go. That's cover artist.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Dan.
No problem. So Generation Next was part of the Phalanx Covenant. It was Uncanny X-Men issues 316 and 317 and X-Men issues 36 and 37. It alternated between books, and this was right after she woke up from a coma, and had done. It was like the issue after the thing with Iceman, where she's back in her own body, and she finds out she found out what happened to the Hellions, and she this was the story that had her go from being on the bad guy's side to being on the good guy's side, and she goes and teams up with Banshee and Jubilee and then Sabretooth of all characters, and has to go out and save this group of young mutants that are being rounded up by the Phalanx, and it has to save them, and at the end they do. Most of them they save them, and this leads directly into the Generation X book, because some of the ones they saved were M and Skin and Sync, and then Jubilee was part of that too, and then her and Banshee were the where the headmasters, the teachers, whatever of that.
Mhm.
So this was the story that showed her coming onto the side of the angels, as it were.
I thought the cuckoos at first were a dumb idea, but as they fleshed them out and Emma's motherly relationship with them.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
did
I
have a
agree.
good relationship with them, especially as some less than good times befell some of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
New X-Men 139 that jumped in and delved into her origin. The stuff Sal was talking about earlier in the mansion with her and Jean. It gave enough of her origin without having to, where you can read that and get it without having to read a whole lot of like her, her own series and some of the other ones that came after that dove into it. I felt like this was a good story, and it gives you everything you need to know about her past. And then I put on there the Astonishing X-Men Omnibus. It's the Whedon Cassidy Omnibus. So it's the first 24 issues in the giant size book for that. So, the first few issues is when when they are coming out of the Grant Morrison era, and they're like, all right, we're going to be superheroes again, and put the
costumes.
superhero costumes on again.
Yeah.
Even though Cyclops' costume sucked. But
I agree with that, Joe. I think her and Stark do work. I like that relationship.
But it was a great storyline. It brought Colossus back, and then the first 12 issues, kind of dealt with all that. But then the second arc, it dealt a lot, a story that heavily featured her and Cassandra Nova and the Hellfire Club. So, but all around just a fantastic story, and I thought one of the best series that she's been part of. Like Joe said.
Yeah, I agree.
Kitty and the Bullet.
All right. So let's go ahead. I'll go next on this one. So you pull up my card there. Thank you very much. So I kind of went a little bit old school like Gary did, but I chose different issues. Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, 151 and 152. This is where she trades bodies with Storm, and
it's a good book, Bougie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much. Very, very, very true. Very true. And she's fighting. I was gonna say she trades body with Storm. It's a whole thing with Kitty and the Everfrost body with Storm. And, it's very centric about that. But in the few scenes or the few moments that we see Everfrost using Storm or using her body, I should say, she finds like a new respect for Storm, because she was like, I cannot believe how much concentration that Storm is needed to keep like the storms at bay. Like, yeah, we could warp the weather patterns and make the storm, but then just to keep it under control was like a new thing for her. She was like, this is like totally way more than I expected, and she had a total new respect for Storm. and her ability to handle the elements. So that's you see a little different side of her on that.
The covers on those are great too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I almost chose one of those covers too.
Yeah, that was on my short list as well.
Yep. So, how old is that Firestar series? Well, now that you mentioned it, that Firestar series that I chose for mine came out in 1986.
Yeah.
And I like this. I like this one because it kind of shows you how manipulative she is. Manipulative.
Yeah.
She is, because she was trying to create Firestar into a killer, an assassin. Basically someone that was gonna, be her tool, because that was Emma Frost back in the day. She was using you to get her to obtain her goals.
Yeah.
So then I went on to Generation X, and I chose 1 through 15 arbitrarily. You could probably choose more or choose less, but I like this one because it's like a turning arc for her after the Hellions. Now she's more on the side of good. She's like, she's she's with the tutelage of Banshee, and I'm sorry, she's running the school with Banshee, so that was a good team up, I would say. And it was just a good story for her to see her come around.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like. So I say 1 through 15, but you could probably read more or a little bit less of that, depending on how much time you have.
There you go.
All right. So Tim, what do you got?
All right, so let's go ahead and start right from the top. So Generation X, I chose 1 through 6. Sal gives you a deeper dive. I figure that the first 6 issues is a great introduction to her more as a good guy than anything else. Her leading the school, leading the newest team of mutants. 6 issues, I think, is a great introduction into that. Really huge in the 90s. And the series was incredibly popular, ran well over 100 issues. So there is a lot to read in there. New X-Men 139, that's Murder in the Mansion, part 1 of 3. But part 1 is an Emma-specific story. And that's the part that I was talking about there, where her and Jean kind of go at it. And you get surface knowledge of her backstory, but it's enough to get you enticed into a lot of the stuff that she had to go through as a character to get to the point to where she was, and kind of why she is the way that she is. It doesn't give you a whole lot, but it gives you enough to be like, I want to know more. And that's a great introductory issue if you know next to nothing about Emma Frost. And the last one, when I was looking up things for like great White Queen stories, this kept popping up all the time. So I read that today, and it's a backup story in X-Men Classic number 7 that has to do with the Hellfire Club. Emma specifically, I'm thinking who is still alive from Generation X. M. Chamber Jubilee. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Everyone, they Sync died, but they brought him back. I mean, I think at the end of X-Men 700, didn't they bring back everybody that had died on Genosha? So I think pretty much anybody that's associated with the X-Men that has died is now back alive somewhere, waiting to be killed again.
Yeah, but X-Men Classic number 7, the backup story in there, Emma and Jean go at it, George Takei. Oh my, they do, and it's all mental. And Scott's all pissed off because Jean blocks the door with her telekinesis powers, and he can't get in. And Xavier's, what did he say? Scott runs off or something, and he's like, "Oh no, not finding Scott again." And it's just a great issue. It's
that's
really
not fair because he should be able to watch.
Right, exactly. But that X-Men Classic, it's a backup story, has to do with the Hellfire Club, Sebastian Shaw, and Emma Frost and the others figuring out that other members of the Hellfire Club are not exactly what they claim to be, and that they're trying to wipe out all of mutant kind. And that in the 8 to 12 pages is where they put a stop to that and come into control of the Hellfire Club. And the artwork is fantastic, done really well. Yeah,
those backup stories in the Classic S was great,
dude.
This is some really great backup stories.
It was the reason to buy it. It was the reason to buy the book, especially if you have all the originals.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think the main story was Uncanny number 99. Yeah, right before 100, and then that backup story. So there you go.
Good
Awesome.
job.
Good
Good
stuff,
job.
Tim. Good stuff.
You're
All
welcome.
right. So, Bougie says this, Tim. I'm not sure if you saw that, but
What's that?
throw that up there really quick there for you.
Tim, is that same Gen X run that Sal had up? Yes, it's the
Yes.
exact same one. I just chose the first 6 issues. Sal chose the first 15.
Tim just was going to give you the tip. Sal was going to give you the whole thing.
I'll give you the whole thing. We talk about
Chrome
deep
number
dive.
1.
We're going in deep. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment.
What
Which is
was
Best
the
Writer.
Goddess in Red thing? What was that?
I'm sorry. What's that?
What was the last chat? Something about Goddess in Red?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He will only see that goodness in red. That is very true. I love the helmet that he had on the motorcycle. Had a big visor and it covered his whole face. It was great.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into our next segment, which is Best Writer and Artist. This is not necessarily two that have to be on the same book at the same time, but maybe you like one for another. But when you think of this character, this is the go-to for your persons or your people. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead first on this one?
How deep a 1 to 1000 variant deep hollow foil remarked autographed CGC 11.0.
Wow.
I have one.
Wonderful.
I have one.
Sal has that? Wow.
I have
You know, I thought that would be the one book he didn't have, but wow.
This goes to 11.
Goes to 11.
For writer, I got Joss Whedon because I love the Astonishing X-Men series.
That was good.
And I love how he handled her on there, especially because there was a kind of white queen centric story. And then for artist, even though he didn't draw her a lot, he only drew for a few issues. I really liked how Joe Madura drew her.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, very good. All right, Gary, how about you?
Well, I'm also going to say my favorite version of hers is the Josh Whedon version. I loved Astonishing X-Men. I thought that's where that character really cemented her place in the X-Men firmament. So I really enjoyed what he did there. And I loved Cassidy's art on her. So, and on the whole team. I think Cassidy's phenomenal. I mean, I fell in love with Cassidy when he did.
That's right.
You know, Cassidy, I don't think you guys were reading this, but Cassidy was phenomenal on the Lone Ranger. So
I did not read that.
Oh, so good. So good on Lone Ranger. But I loved what he did on the X-Men. So Cassidy's my artist for this. Yeah.
There you go, Joe.
Yeah, I got the Spinal Tap too. Good job.
Lick my love pump.
What's the issue?
I don't know what the issue is. My brother bought me this shirt years ago, so
Ooh, I don't know either.
If any of you know,
that's not a real cover.
I was gonna say I don't think it is because it's I can identify a couple different art styles in it.
Well, I know I have every issue of the Avengers, and that ain't one of them, babe.
There you go.
But it's a cool shirt.
It is a cool shirt.
Now, if you like John Cassidy art, I know I keep telling you, you got to read Planetary.
Dude, I saw that at McKay's. The omnibus that you did the review on, they had that there for $55. And if I can get enough trade credit, I'm going to pick it up if it's
Planetary, the one that had, Apollo and
no, that's Authority.
Authority, okay.
Yeah.
Planetary took place in Wildstorm and the Wildstorm universe after it went to DC, and they did make a couple references to the Authority once or twice, but you don't have to know anything else. It's like a completely insulated story. You don't have to know anything previous to sit down and read it, which is one thing that's great about it. But but the more you know about comics as a whole, the more that you'll get to it, because they have characters in there that are like, homages to like old pulp characters and, some of the more popular characters. There's an issue that deals with a character that's very much a pastiche of John Constantine. And, it's a way of them saying like, hey, here's kind of what I would do, kind of deal with some of these characters if I could deal with it unencumbered by, what's going on with a major company.
Yeah, I want to read it.
Yeah, if you could get that omnibus for $50, it is well worth it.
If it's still there, I'm going to look this weekend. If it's still there, I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah, it's Elijah Snow, the drummer, and Jaquita Wagner are the main characters.
There you go.
Very good. All right, Tim, you're next. What do you got for writer and artist?
So I had for writer, I had two. One I scratched out. Gail Simone was going to be my first choice, but I went with the one of the main writers for the current Catwoman series, and that is Joelle Jones. The work that she did in the current volume of Catwoman in the beginning part through the first half almost was amazing work, and she really breathed new life into Selena Kyle. I would love to see what she could do with Emma Frost. I think she
I think she's going to be at Baltimore.
Real well, if that's the case, then I'm going to ask her about that. I would love to see her do some work on Emma Frost. That would be fantastic. So she would be my choice for writer. As far as artist, I had three. I scratched out Jim Lee, even though I would love to see him, but I think that I'm going to stick with the Catwoman volume and either go with Joelle Jones as the artist or Laura Allred, who did the cover artwork for that Catwoman volume. The cover artwork was gorgeous. I think Laura Allred and Joelle Jones, they already work extremely well together, and I think that they could pull off a wonderful Emma Frost series.
Okay, very good.
Good choice.
All right, good choices. All right, for mine, I actually had a toss-up for writer from between Wheaton, but I also went with Claremont because he's just a classic.
Yeah,
our classic X-Men Volume 1 character. But
that's right. She is.
Yes. She
Not
is.
the one that has White Queen in it, though.
Right. But I'll go with Josh Whedon just because his work was phenomenal. So on that, and for artists, I had a toss up, but I went with Cassidy. But my really close backup was Bob McLeod. McLeod. Sorry.
Right on.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Very good. Very good.
Mike Allred and Laura, better comic team up than Superman and Lois. There you go.
Yeah.
I love Laura Allred's work. If you haven't seen the A covers for that Catwoman volume, I think it's volume 6. Check it out. It's awesome stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
Bob McLeod was the original artist for New Mutants and co-created the team.
There you go.
Tim, confirmation: Joelle Jones will be in Baltimore.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
I've got Catwoman covers that I want her to sign. So
I feel a Codex short interview coming up. Awesome. Well,
all right, so I got a little piece of minor trivia for you. You mentioned in the X-Men First Class that White Queen was in it, that she was played by January Jones, who looked very good as the White Queen, but the character was a total waste in the movie. She was just there for eye candy because it was totally underutilized. But what's the name of the first actress that played White Queen in live action?
Oh, crud. She had blonde hair.
When did it occur?
In the 90s.
In the mid 90s.
Yeah.
In what?
Where was it? Yeah. What?
Actually, that's the funny thing. The actress does not have blonde hair. She just it was either dyed her hair or wore a wig for the role.
Like I'm looking right at her. I saw I saw it when it was on television. I just can't think.
Was it a TV show or a movie?
TV movie.
It was the Generation X made for TV movie.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a pilot for the show, but it never got picked up.
Okay, never saw it.
I can't think of her name. Dan's got it right there.
Come on, Dan. Whip it out for us.
It's so bad it's good, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. I knew he had the video of it. We got VHS.
Yeah, there we go.
Got the bootleg.
What's the actress's name?
So who is it?
Her name is Finola Hughes.
What?
You may recognize her. She has been on a little over 1,700 episodes of General Hospital.
My Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, TJ
There you
got
go.
it.
Yep.
There you
There
go.
you go,
Views,
TJ.
There you go. Wow.
Your no prize is in the mail, TJ.
That's wonderful. Crisp high five, buddy.
And you know what? Even though that made-for-TV movie was stupid and cheesy, I still look back on it, with fondness and nostalgia. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm sure if I watched it, I'd be like, God, this is worse than I remember. With
Nothing beats the Nick Fury Hasselhoff, though.
Oh, that was awesome. Are you kidding me?
Pornhub
That's good
search. I'm sure you could find it on there if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, Joe. She's been in a few things, but mostly she's been on General Hospital for ever.
I hope she gets better.
But,
Doesn't sound like a good hospital to go to.
Matt Frewer played the bad guy in it, and they had to create a couple new characters to put on the team because characters like Penance and Chamber, like they just didn't have the money to do the special effects that it would have taken to do those characters on TV.
Was Frewer Matt Headroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't Maggot part of the Generation X?
Maggot? No.
I thought he was.
No, he came later. He was introduced that year that they did I think he was actually wasn't he the one or one of the first appearance when they had that year where like every book that had its annual introduced a new character.
Oh, with the card and all of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it. Now that I'm saying it, I don't think that was his first appearance. But, no, his first appearance was Uncanny X-Men 345.
There you go.
Yeah.
But because most of the characters that were introduced in those annuals sucked anyways and just faded into obscurity. The only one I could think of that's actually done anything is Executioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was a big part of X-Men 97.
Oh, and Adam X was in that, who was supposed to be like another Summers brother, and I guess later on was technically revealed to be one.
How many Summers brothers are there?
2.
They were really good entertainers. Tom and Dick were great.
Okay.
Catching up on a lot of chat here, ladies and gentlemen.
What
about Power Pack Pilot? Oh God. Jeez.
There we are.
We are team.
All right.
I don't think I have the Power Pack Pilot. No, shit, I do. I do have it. Never mind.
I didn't even know it existed. Dan's got stuff I had no idea even existed.
What do you got? The Doctor Strange made for TV movie from the 70s. The Hasselhoff.
The one that had
Disco.
Oh, what's her
Dr.
name
Strange.
in it? There was from Archer and Arrested Development.
Oh yeah. Shoot, I can't remember.
Jessica Walters.
Yeah. The Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
God, that one sucked. Though he did look very accurate to the comic, but
it was great.
God, it was so stupid.
The 90s Captain America, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, pre-big budget Marvel, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen it, that is a whole wonderfully terrible rabbit hole to go down.
When there are terrible Fantastic Four, I think Dan has too.
That's the greatest Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Yeah.
Well, the guy,
comic accurate Doctor Doom.
The guy that played Captain America in that movie,
Reb Brown.
No, Jeb Brown was the one from the
riding
Jeb
motorcycle.
Brown was the one from like was it the 70s, the 80s?
Hulk.
He's talking about the one from the 90s.
Okay.
The one that had Ned Beatty in it and where they made it Red Skull Italian.
Yep.
You're kidding me, Mia. Wow.
The guy that played Captain America had a very famous father.
I can't remember who it was though.
His father was J.D. Salinger.
Wow.
The one that played Captain America, his name was Matt Salinger, but his father was J.D. Salinger. For all the high schoolers out there, he is the one that wrote Catcher in the
Rye. Yeah.
Yep.
Holden Caulfield.
I used to watch that Captain America movie when it came on Cinemax all the time.
I don't even remember that. Wow.
Yeah.
Question for Tim.
Did you ever read the AD&D DC comics? Is it worth picking up? So that's funny you say that, because Dan got me the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons comics that I have for DC. I only have 2 or 3 of them. I haven't read them yet, but I'm waiting to get the whole run before I dive into them. I've heard they're really good, and the Dragonlance stuff is supposed to be really good too, but I haven't read any of that either. I am a big D&D guy, though. I love the movie. So did
Bougie,
Sal.
you do not want to see the Corman Fantastic Four movie. It is terrible.
Yes, you do. You have to see
I
it.
mean,
It's
you
free on
only want to see
YouTube.
it if going into it, you know that it's one of the worst things you'll ever watch.
It's free on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. You can find it.
Tim's a big D&D guy. I'm just a big double D guy. So we different strokes for different folks.
We have gone way off topic, ladies.
Yeah,
and
we have.
gentlemen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this wraps up this episode of Comic Character of the Week, where we covered the White Queen. Great stories, great covers, great critiques, and all that good stuff. Good badass moments, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Al the Slab Guy. I'm joined with Dan Van Kelly. Right next to him is the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
And of course, Tim. Not so terrible, but Tim the Terrible tonight. So
Tim the Tenacious.
Tim the Tenacious. Tim the something.
Tim the Testicular.
All that's better than Tim the Tepid. So, you know,
Tim
make sure it's on.
Tim the Tepid. Ladies and gentlemen, chat, thank you much for joining and sharing comments with us tonight. It's been a real delight. Tim, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this kind of content, Gary, what do we want to give them as a gift?
Oh, we would love to gift you this. Us at the Codex Station, all these wonderful hosts, these beautiful faces you see in front of you, we have all the socials, and we would like nothing better than to give them to you.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you made it this far. Please hit the like, share, subscribe, and or follow wherever you're watching us live streaming on your favorite social media platforms right now. It's the greatest way you can help a channel like this. Get us out there. Spread us to the world, ladies and gentlemen. Let's show that beautiful peach to everybody.
Wow.
Codex Station, your favorite social media platforms. Now, after a comment like that, you feel dirty, you feel a little sweaty, you're going to need a new t-shirt. And what better place to go to get that than the codexstation.com for all your Codex needs, ladies and gentlemen. Get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, the codexstation.com. All
Brought
right.
to you by this guy over here.
Yeah, 100%. Gary built that from the ground up.
Gary couldn't have built it with a hammer and a nail. He couldn't have
watched
built
him build code, ones and zeros, ladies and gentlemen. It was a masterpiece to behold.
Can't even read code. That's what Bill does.
But before we get out of here, we need to hear 2 beautifully soft, sultry, seductive words. Does anybody know what they are?
Does it have anything to do with when Emma Frost drills into your psyche and leaves like these big gaping holes in your memory?
That is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gaping holes. We're going to keep them for ourselves. We hope you have yours too. About that big. Just remember, I can't say it on air, but a raccoon can fit right up there. Squeeze its way right in and dig around.
Wow, that's you talking about a butt bandit there. Wow.
Yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. Good night. We'll see
Good
you
night.